Alright, I believe today is the 14th. It's Wednesday. What I wanted to do in this video is just shoot a quick video and show you the rear suspension. We got it out of the Corvette. It's pretty simple to unbolt. You've got 2 bolts here, a bolt in each control arm, and then your anti-roll bar. This bar here, it wasn't connected to anything in the Corvette, but I would assume it connects to the base of the back of the transmission. The Vette I had didn't have a drivetrain in it, and even if it did, it had too many miles on it to mess with. And the one I'm getting is very low mileage and newer. So, basically, pull the shocks, and you got 2 bolts there on each side. 2 bolts for the anti-roll bar, and these bolts here. So it's pretty easy to drop it out of there. Be careful, they're heavy, but once you get it out of there, again, just like the front end, you can put the tires back on and it rolls kind of like a trailer. Pretty easy to move around, so that was nice. Anyways, what I'm going to do with this is probably going to run a piece of C-channel across here. I'm going to have to see how to make it fit properly around the rear axle. The nice thing about Corvette is that it's stationary. It's not going to move, so you can make your brackets fit very close to the pumpkin and go across there, and not worry about it ever hitting, because it's never going to move as far as that goes. This truck's got these old funky grasshopper looking shocks. I'm going to clean those up and resell those, and pretty much anything that's I'm not going to use but is original to a 46 I'll clean up and resell, so make some money back on that stuff. And I suggest you do the same. If you don't just cut and hack, a lot of people that are building these back to original. I know when I built my last one and it was all back to original, a lot of these little parts and stuff that weren't on the truck I could have used. I would have definitely paid somebody for an original piece versus some aftermarket junk made in Taiwan. Anyway, so I'm going to put a cross member here. I'm going to center it on the axle. I got to find my center point and make sure that it's going to match the center point. If you notice, it's where the attachments aren't centered on the axle. So what you got to do is you got to find your center point here, center point there, keep everything square, but the brace is actually going to be further back. Not sure how much, I'll have to figure all that out, but if I put this in the center, it's going to move my tires too far forward. So, you know, you gotta go base everything off the center point of your axles, where your hub's going to sit. Not, you know, just be careful when you're doing your measurements, what it comes down to. And I'm assuming if you're doing a project like this, you're not an idiot, so you figure this stuff out too. But once I get the rear end put in and I do the front end, and everything sits right, I'm going to box this entire frame in. But one thing I'm going to do is bead blast this entire frame, and then I'm going to run I got a paint deal that's got a long wand on it, and I think it's for doing roofs or whatever, but they've got a really good frame paint. I think 3M makes it. I got to find it, and once I know exactly what it is, I'll let you know. But what I like to do is box a small section, and then I'll run, after everything's cool and whatnot and ground and whatever, I'll run that wand up in there and I'll spray that frame paint inside the box as well as outside. And just a little bit of preventive maintenance, you know. I have a tendency to overdo things, from what some people think you need to, but I'd rather overdo it than underdo it. And I'm sorry these video quality aren't the best, but I'm using a phone to record it. It's a good phone, but still, it's a phone. Anyways, also before I take any suspension off or do anything like that, on my next video you'll see the whole front end will be off of here and it'll just be a cab sitting on it. But before I go taking any suspension off or anything, I'm going to level the frame and square it. And then I'm going to weld some cross members in there that I will be removing later, but will hold the frame in square while I'm doing all the suspension work, because I don't want it twisted or tweaked or anything, and I don't know if it is now or not, but I'll find out. And once I know this frame's perfectly square and right, I'll weld those braces in there, which will stop it from ever moving. Then I can do all my suspension work, put it all back together, do my permanent cross members, do my boxing, everything else, and then this frame will be square and righteous, and it'll handle perfectly. Let's see. Basically, that's all I have to say for now. Like I said, I'm going to leave the cab on it, simply because once I mock everything up and I get it tacked in there and whatnot, then I'm going to put everything back together to make sure that my axle's sitting where I want to, that the height is right. I expect about a 2-inch drop once I put my new drivetrain in it. I want to make sure my rake's right, everything else, before I do any permanent welds. And it's always best just to put the body back on and have everything where it needs to be. Also, any suggestions you all may have, if you've done anything like this before and you know some tips and tricks, I'm wide open. I mean, I've built a lot of cars over the years, and hot rods and whatnots and rat rods and things, but I don't know everything. So if y'all have any tips or tricks or anything that you want to share, and go for it, and I'll respond back. But that's where we're at right now. I'm going to put a new rear end in it, and that'll be my next move. And again, next video you see, it won't have any front end on it. It'll just be a cab, and we'll have this rear end mocked in there, and I'll show you how I do it and how I build my brackets. And I've kept the old Corvette body for now. I'm not going to put it up for sale yet until I've got all my measurements off of it, and I'm basically just going to duplicate all the suspension and everything from that to this, so that I know all my geometry's right. Alright, well, like I said, my daughter and my son are helping me with this. She's 13, he's 10, and they're doing most of the work, just because it's a good learning experience. And and they're young and agile, and their back doesn't hurt as bad as mine. Another thing I wanted to show you, well, the reason I let you know that is because if they can do it, well, you can too. There's no question about it. It just takes time and a little know-how. And if you have a project that you're working on that you've got questions about, shoot me a line there, and I might know the answer to it, or have a suggestion for you to help you out. I have no problem. Advice is free here. I rolled the back end up underneath here so that you can see it's not centered. Obviously, it's off to the passenger side a little bit, but you can see the width is real close to what's under there now. And I might have to do some mini tubs or something in the bed once it's done, but I think it's going to fit pretty good. So, thanks for watching my videos. I really appreciate the comments and the people that have subscribed, and hopefully this will help you out, or, like I said, if you have any advice on some of this stuff, let me know. One thing I need to do, and I haven't done yet, I better do it pretty soon, is I need to run some fresh fluid through the rack here, and then I'm gonna put some plugs in here to keep any moisture out. I had it wrapped in a plastic bag earlier, but it's good to keep any moisture out there. Why ruin something that rack's brand new? And again, once I get it all put together, all the bushings and everything will get replaced on this front to back, so it's all going to be fresh and new and whatnot. But again, thanks for watching, and if you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them. I'm pretty open, and just don't be an ass. But talk to you later, and hope these videos don't get too long-winded. But I just wanted to give you a real good shot. There's the fiberglass spring in there, and let you see how the suspension all put together actually sits. This is the anti-roll bar, which actually goes behind the axle, not in front. It goes back here, but I just rolled it out of my way up there for now. And take her easy.